At 8, Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. And I often say you can't put a price on good government, but you can. It's $17.1 billion. That's the budget that was passed by the city of Chicago yesterday to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago.
That's what he said. The vote passed 27 to 23. And, cancel your Netflix subscription, excuse me, because everything's going up from. And Dan, we're going to get more red light cameras. Isn't that exciting? And speed ticket cameras to the tune of $11.4 million. Parking garage tax is going to go up from 22 to 23%, and 20% tax on the weekends. And the you love this. The checkout bag tax will go from 7 cents a bag to 10 cents a bag. It just is.
As long as it's not plastic, that's the important thing, because we got to save the planet, too. But, it's a victory for taxpayers.
While this budget process may have been different from the past, it has truly been a collaborative process.
People working together to get things done for other people. That's the story. Right, Ted? Ted Dabrowski, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, guys. He's the collaborator in chief, I love how he'd say that he put out things like, hey, I put out that $300 million in property tax hikes just to create a discussion. I mean, that's
he's so cagey. Yeah, he is so cagey.
Squirrely son of a gun.
Yeah. He walked people right into that trap. He was always going to keep his promise not to raise property taxes, but he wanted a wide-ranging discussion where everyone felt heard. Ted,
he wanted everybody to chip in and say, here's how we'll replace that $300 million. Exactly.
Well, this is how it's team of rivals, Ted. Very much like Andrew Jackson's cabinet. And you bring together a disparate group with a variety of opinions, and out of the meat grinder comes this beautiful sausage, this beautiful collaborative sausage, a win, a tasty treat for Chicago taxpayers.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how it played out. And I'll tell you, there's some interesting dynamics there, though, and I think they shouldn't be missed. And I was a little excited by it. I try not to get too excited by anything positive with Chicago politics, but he had come out with this $300 million property tax, and he was voted 50-0 against. The alderman voted 50-0 against it, and eventually got it down to 0. And everybody hates these property taxes and these hikes. So there was a lot of good news in that, and that progressives, that everybody was against it. Now the bad news is that it eventually gets switched out into nickel and diming a whole bunch of other taxes, and so it's hard to get a win for the people. But there was this dynamic here that kind of proves how weak and how failed Brandon Johnson is. If there were a recall election right now, he'd have a really, really hard time surviving it.
Well, I mean, he canceled the Friday's city council meeting because he didn't have the votes, and he knew it. He had egg in his face, and then he convinced somehow 2 aldermen to change their tunes. But the big question is, Ted Dabrowski, where did they cut spending?
Oh my gosh, where did they cut spending? They didn't really. Here's what was funny, So in there, when they told him, the alderman told him they wanted people cuts. Brandon Johnson went after the police and civilian cuts within the police force, and people got really ticked off about that. And so you know what Brandon Johnson did? He added more red light cameras to pay to fund those people again. Just fascinating. Look, there are no cuts. They call it, they have these $300 million in operational efficiencies. If you've been around government budgeting long enough, you know that's always a bunch of BS. They're getting money from TIFs, so that's the kind of cuts they're getting. They're getting money from the TIF fund, which is the Mayor Slush Fund. They're getting $140 million from revenue surplus of 2024. It's all the same old stuff. There's no real reform in any of this budget, and we'll have these same problems, the same discussions again next year. It's just it'll be a little tougher because all the contracts keep pushing up salaries for all the city workers. So this will be even a tougher discussion next year.
I can't wait for next year. The also we have debt. That's they borrowed more, which continues to be the fundamental problem that the bond markets still allow the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago and the Chicago public school system to borrow, and they can always impose more costs that will be paid off tomorrow, so you don't have to make any adult decisions today. And that's been the story of Illinois and Chicago for forever.
Yeah. Well, and it is fascinating that they did this, right? So Alderman pushed back against the last $68 million property tax increase that Johnson was trying to get, and so Johnson got rid of it, but he replaced it partially with a $40 million short-term borrowing. Well, what the heck is that, right? That's not a budgeting line. It's not a revenue line. It's an expense line, and so the rating agencies will see that sticking out like a sore thumb, they're warning about the next downgrade, and they should, right? The only reason we got away from all these downgrades in Chicago was because of all the COVID money. And now that that's gone, all the real sores and warts are showing up again. And S&P has already warned of downgrades, and they have to because the rating agencies have to protect themselves at some point.
Well, you just consider debt revenue. That's what we've done at both the state and the city level, also for quite some time now. So why would that stop? We get a little payday loan advance on our tax revenue, and everything's fine, and you get to have a little press conference where you say this is people coming together, it's collaborative, it's wonderful. I kept my promise not to raise property taxes, and everybody shuffles along.
Yeah, the other interesting point too is he gets to keep his promise of not raising property taxes, but that's only because the city council forced it down his throat. So interesting.
I was just looking at the state of Illinois, because you know how everybody talks about California being this sort of economic disaster and the hemorrhaging of population and business location and so forth. And the Rich States, Poor States report that Steve Moore and Art Laffer put together every year. 47th in the nation in economic outlook rank is California. Number 1 is where you want to be. Number 50 is where you don't want to be. California's 47. Illinois is 48. Now, I'm continuing to be told that this is a low-tax state by Governor Jelly Belly and the Democrats, in addition to the fact that people are not leaving. The state is growing. And it's remarkable how we're apparently growing and how this is a destination, a location for capital and labor, because we're 48th, and you start to look at some of the numbers, like, I don't know, top marginal corporate income tax rate, we're 6th highest in the nation. The remaining tax burden when you get past personal, corporate, property tax, sales tax, the remaining tax burden, we're 6th highest in the nation. We have the we're tied for, inheritance tax because of how we're structured here, for the worst in the nation. The state litigation system, which imposes a cost, is last in the nation, and so on and so forth. You look through all of these indicators of economic attractiveness in terms of tax and other associated burdens, unfunded pension liabilities, which we talk a lot about, wage mandates, workers' comp costs, so on and so forth. Debt service as a share of tax revenue, we're 4th highest in the nation. And I can't figure out the disconnect between people like you and the majority of the state when it comes to understanding how well things are going in Illinois.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? And I scream from the mountaintops all the time. We did a recent report when Pritzker during the presidential campaigns was bragging about how strong Illinois was. We took the 50 state comparisons of where Illinois stands versus all the other states during Pritzker's time, and it's horrible. And what's interesting about this report that the rich states, poor states, is they do a great ranking of all these different measures, right? Like the tax burden or the where we rank in corporate taxes and all that. And, and it lays it out, right? We're near the bottom in most things, and on average, right, we end up 48th. That's one way to look at it, and the other way to look at it is just look at the impact on people. And so when you start looking at employment, right, we actually lost 80,000 net jobs, employment. There's 80,000 fewer people employed today than when Pritzker took office. He brags about growth and all that. You've got fewer people working, and and you compare that again. You compare that to the average in the country. It might be 100,000 or 200,000 positive. You look at Texas, 1.4 million up. Florida, nearly 1 million up, and we have 80,000 fewer. You look at unemployment, always second or third worst in the country. You got the black unemployment rate, one of the worst in the country. All those things go against, and I guess the reason we have this big difference between them and us is that he's got a machine. He's had a machine. They've had a machine that includes the press, that includes all those public sector units. You've got the most units of government in the country, so that is part of the media establishment for the state. And they all say the same things. They all make the same, let's call them lies. They make all the same lies, and it's what people hear because it's harder for a group like ours to be heard. But over time, people know it because people keep leaving. So at some point we win, but how trash does Illinois get before we actually win our argument?
Well, in Chicago too, you heard the commentary before you joined us from Jeannie Ives about the $700,000 per subsidized housing unit that BLM Brandon wants to build in places like the financial district downtown. That if those projects move forward in places like the financial districts, I mean, doesn't it essentially guarantee there is no coming back for Chicago?
Yeah, I would say that. I think it's for all kinds of reasons, right? But obviously, the first one starts with he'll brag about affordable housing when in fact it's going to cost us a tremendous amount of money to do it, and then you're damaging what should be a business hub and a creator of revenues into a potential problem area over time.
Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As a business owner, do you have a strategy for exiting your business? Most business owners don't. Studies done by the Exit Planning Institute show 75% of business owners who don't have an exit plan are dissatisfied with their exit, and 80% of businesses put to market never sell. Total Clarity Wealth Management understands the hesitation to discuss exiting. Will customers leave? Will competitors take advantage? Will key employees leave? That's why they offer confidential planning. Contact Anne-Marie at Total Clarity Wealth Management. Discover what the financial foundation should be to pursue an exit that is satisfying. At some point, you are going to leave your business. Will it be on your terms? Total Clarity can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Anne-Marie is a certified exit planning advisor. Visit TotalClarityBusiness.com. That's TotalClarityBusiness.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Oh, I think it's a great stocking stuffer, Balance of Nature, this Christmas season. Don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements. They're a proud supporter of this radio station for the last 10 years, don't you know? And remember, those gingerbread cookies, ice cream, don't cut it. They don't provide the fruits and vegetables your body desperately needs every day to stay healthy, happy, and energized. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open the individual capsules and dust them over salad or into a juice drink or warm water. That's how I do it. And thousands of AM 560 listeners absolutely love their Balance of Nature. And you will too. 6 capsules a day provide your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. So order your fruits and veggies today by calling this number, 800-246-8751, and use coupon code Chicago to save